This week we did content and in true unscripted fashion followed a few tangents and paths and everything like that. But we talked about kind of the things that you need to know, why we're interested in it, and why we started.
Yeah, I think the headlines, the big headlines at the very end, why you should consider doing it as well. So don't skip the last part because we both share the reasons why you should consider doing it, how it's in your best interest.
Yeah, exactly. Shared a little bit more about our journey and the tangents that we've had along the way, but this should be a good one. Hopefully, you enjoy.
Right.
We could talk about content. That's a pretty easy one because my views on content, uh, they haven't changed, but I think they've evolved a lot, particularly in the last 3 to 4 months.
All right. Well, let's talk about how much it's evolved. Where was it and where is it now? And why did you change? Or what changed to make you change?
Uh, I think it's just, I mean, one, having done it for a good period of time,
Hmm.
and two, shedding all of those insecurities or attachments to vanity metrics like likes and comments and all of that sort of stuff. And I understand engagement, like likes, comments, especially shares, helps expand. But I've realized, and I did some A/B testing probably 12 to 18 months ago,
Hmm.
and I did it with Facebook and I did it with LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And LinkedIn, I've realized, very much loves that reassuring you, you're doing the right thing, you're a hard worker, it's tough out there. That kind of content
Hmm.
absolutely blows up, but
Hmm.
doesn't result in any sales.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook, you can be a little bit firmer. I used to be much more direct, whereas now it's a lot softer. And I did a lot of testing on what works, but it's kind of that middle ground. So I think I got caught in trying to get followers and get engagement and get likes. And I used to do a post and check it. Whereas the other company, I'm doing that at the moment, I don't care about engagement in the slightest. I care about reach and I care about sales. And
Hmm.
what's funny is that I got nearly no feedback on that content for about a month. And then I started getting DMs. Sorry, no, the first thing
Hmm.
was I got a DM, hopped on the call with them, and the guy at the end just said, "Your content is amazing. It
Hmm.
answers all of the questions that I had. There's no one else that's doing it." And then
Hmm.
the next day, spoke with the owner of a much bigger company, and your content's amazing. And
Hmm.
then since then, I've had people message me about reels that I did 2.5 months ago, and
Hmm.
this is relatively early in the reels thing for me, but like, oh yeah, I almost bought this, but I remember that you said this in your reel. So what do you think I should do?
Hmm.
Never engaged, never
Yeah.
liked, never commented anything.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing now content as part of the much bigger funnel of it's both your top of funnel, as in you're gaining awareness because reels have such good reach, but it's
Hmm.
also kind of your middle of funnel, almost, uh, and we're talking short form here,
Hmm.
almost over time, it's this nurturing sequence of people that consistently come back and provide value. Whereas typically I viewed it as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and ads at the top, and then middle, and YouTube as well. And then middle was a newsletter and YouTube to a certain extent. But I think getting back to the original thing that I've said, I just don't care about the vanity metrics. I care about engagement. And I care about sales.
Hmm. Hmm.
Sorry, I care about reach and I care about sales.
Is that a general sort of statement, or is that in specific regards to your chiller business or
No,
your?
in general,
Okay.
yeah, because I found that in order to get reach, you have to, and this is something I've been listening to a good amount lately. So maybe it's just attention bias or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Um, but
Recency,
sorry,
recency, recency bias.
that's it. Um, the the kind of content that you have to put up to get likes is fluff, but
Hmm.
people scroll and 95% or not or higher of what they see is fluff.
Hmm.
Whereas
Hmm.
if you focus on how do I provide a stupid amount of value to my very specific target audience who
Hmm.
are qualified and would buy my product,
Yep.
your engagement and your and everything's going to be so much lower,
Yep.
but the end result is there.
If I look at the most liked, I post on Facebook and I only started on LinkedIn 6 months ago, and I wouldn't say I've gained massive traction there. I just repost what I do on Facebook. But if I think back to, without running data on it, just off the top of my mind, the 5 or 6 most liked posts I've ever had on Facebook, they're all posts which have a photo in it, and the photo of the other person with me, I'm in it, but so is somebody else. You're in one, or maybe two of them when we've met in Australia or here in Guatemala. Chris Voss, when I met him in person in Nashville, is one of them. Steve Asano, the jet business guy who I met 3 weeks ago and hung out with quite a lot, is in another. So, and the other ones are in that theme. None of them are hard hitting, educative. Can't speak. Educational. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Geez, that was hard. None of them are hardcore educational or I guess they're documenting in a way. This is who I met, hung out. This is what we did, but it's kind of low hanging fruit. You know, there's a couple of familiar faces. Maybe there's a famous face. Certainly not my most educational posts, yet they've had the biggest response. But they're like few and far between from my end. Like when I write every day. I pretty much write to document my thoughts or to document something that I've experienced or seen, or I'm seeing. It's really a documentation. And I write for myself kind of first and foremost, but I have come to learn that there are other people, usually earlier in their journey than I am, less experienced, younger, whatever it is, who, you know, might like to know some things that I know. So there's some value there, but generally I'm documenting. But I don't get nearly the amount of likes in if I put up a photo. Like if you and I meet up for coffee right now and I put a photo up tomorrow, probably get like 120, 150 likes. If I do what I think is a pretty powerful post, like I did one today which got like 40 likes, and I thought it was had like 5 shares, which is a lot for me. It was pretty educational and pretty thought-provoking. I haven't seen anyone else do a post like this. Like I think it was a genuinely valuable post in an educational sense. It'll top out at 50 likes. You and I having a coffee will get 150 within 24 hours. You know, what you do with that information is another conversation, but I wouldn't want to just post photos with you every day or with other people, because I think it's like there's a sugar rush there, but doesn't really move the needle. I don't know.
If you think about it, you are shrouded in words. People don't get to see you every day. They don't. If you were on any other platform, people are going to see your face every day. A reel of you speaking or a picture of you is just like, cool. All right.
Yep.
There's Michael again. Whereas you are written, you are thought provoking. And when people get to see a little bit behind the curtain, even if I post a picture, I remember someone in TSP 18 months ago said, you need to post more of your life. I posted a picture on the beach. It wasn't even of me. It was just my dog running along the beach.
I think,
yeah. And that got 100 and something, which was massive for me.
Yeah.
Because I think people like to see the person behind the curtain.
Yes.
But yeah.
I think there's a time and a place for that, but like, I don't know, with my brand or positioning or whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't want to do more than 1 or 2 of those a month. Those kind of sugar rushy ones. That's just, I like documenting my thoughts. I like showing people how I think, what's important to me, how I articulate myself, you know, unpacking conclusions I come to. I don't know. That's, you know what I'm like. I'm like that. So that's a representation of how I am. It doesn't appeal to everybody, and that's fine. But I'm not looking to appeal to everybody. Like, if it ultimately leads to people coming my program, like I'm very clear on who I want and who I don't want. Anyone who's sugar rushy, you know, short-term gratification, wants it all handed to them, thinks they're going to triple their close rate tomorrow, like, you're not my guy. You shouldn't come in my program. I'm not your trainer. So I want people to come in who maybe been following me for quite some time, even if they haven't been liking or interacting with my posts, but they've come to the conclusion, I like the way this guy thinks. I think I can learn from him. I'd like to learn from him. Like so many people where I get DMs and they come in my program, I don't know who they are. We're not even friends. And they tell me they've been following me for 6 months. I'm like, A, we're not friends. I've never seen a like or a comment. Like, who are you? And they've just been there in the background. And that's why I don't really look at metrics. I probably could. I know you do. I think there's a benefit to it. I just document what I'm doing, and those that like it might contact me and come in. If they do, great. If they don't, that's fine as well. Like, I'm not attached to an outcome from it other than a commitment to actually showing up and doing it, and then whatever happens on the back of that happens. I'm really unattached to the outcome from that. Other people would have a different game plan, and that's fine, but where I'm at in my journey and how my personality is, and the fact that I've got multiple income streams, like it's not just coaching, I don't have to bring in 5 new people every week to make it work.
Think about it though, if there are times for vanity metrics when you are trying to become an influencer. So a lot of people try and become famous and then try and monetize it. And that's a big thing. Even kids in school now, they say they want to be an influencer or a YouTuber or something like that.
Yep.
But you have to do so much and work on so many vanity metrics in order to be successful. And then you're like, well, how do I actually monetize this? Because you're not
Yeah.
going to make too much off ad revenue or
Yep.
not ad revenue. Yeah, like clicks on YouTube
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Nowhere near as profitable as it once was.
Yes.
Whereas we have products that come on the back of that. Now, I don't post to sell products. Never have, and it's just not what I want to do, because people can smell that. They know really quickly what
Mhm.
you're doing. But
Why do you post then? If you don't post for that, why do you post? So you
so
show up most days, if not every day, in post. I don't know, you got your newsletter as well. Let's just talk about posting first. Why? What's your thought process and philosophy behind posting every day or close enough to every day?
well, actually, in the last 3 weeks was the first time in how many years that I haven't posted every day. I've missed a couple.
Yep.
So when I say I don't post to sell products, as I said at the start, sales and revenue is a
Yep.
big. That's more on the other business at the moment.
Yep.
So that is a big focus of that, as well as credibility, value, all of that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Now, if we're talking about remote sales and AI courses and all of that sort of stuff,
Yep.
posting is a little bit of a reflection, and a lot of people are noticing at the moment. What I've typically been posting is changing because my focus and
Yep.
growth and
Yep.
learnings,
I've
they are,
sensed your
yeah,
content.
yeah,
Your posts are a lot shorter now than they used to be as well.
yeah.
A lot shorter.
Yeah, I want to be
Yep.
able to say a lot less.
Yep.
Sorry, more with less.
Yep.
And again, a reflection of me. If I see a long post, I'm like, ugh, I don't know
Yep.
if I want to read through the whole
Only
thing.
people I'll read long posts of.
Sorry.
I'm a long poster, as you would know. A lot of my posts are long. That's okay. I need people. That's by design. Firstly, I'm not the most succinct communicator, as you know. I love a tangent. I love to sort of provide
You
examples.
love a
And whatnot.
tangent? Never.
Been told that. And secondly, people with short attention spans are not my people. In the sense that if they want to learn from me and come into my world as a student in the future, and there's no obligation to do so if you read my content, of course. Um, you're going to want to sign up for more than just a sugar rush of like one sentence that like inspires you. It's more than that. So it's intentional.
Mm.
Yeah. But back to my question. Why do you post?
So posting at the moment is a reflection of what I'm interested in, what
Yep.
what I enjoy, because a lot of what I'm posting at the moment is this, again, talking specifically about Facebook and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's not it's not revenue generating posts. As in, I'm not posting like buy my course or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that I'm learning along the way, things that I'm focused on. And I kind of hit this tipping point a couple of months ago where I was posting about the things that I was consistently posting about.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this moment of, I don't know if that's the path forward. I'm interested in all of these other things, but I don't know if the people that are following me would be interested in it. And someone just said, well, then if you can't continue the path that you're on solely because it's the path that you're on, and the people that do follow you uh, will be the ones that follow along for the journey a lot more consistently. Uh, and I've
Well,
done that. So at the moment, it's kind of in this transitionary period of what I'm interested in, what I'm working on, and seeing whether or not people are
well,
liking it.
that brings up an interesting question. Like, do you primarily? The answer is going to be both, but primarily, do you post for yourself or do you post for others?
I don't post for myself.
Okay, so you post for others.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
I understand the idea of posting for the you of 12 months ago.
Yeah.
My theory at the moment, and I think this is why I've posted a little bit less,
Mm,
is this post, is someone going to be
mm.
much better and think, so will they be enriched by reading this post? Will they actually get something from it? And every day I've gone to write something out, I've nearly hit send and I've thought, nah, that's posting for the sake of posting. So
Hmm.
the goal is, as I learn things along the way, I want to be able to share. And a big focus of that at the moment is AI.
Why do you want to? Why do you want to share it? Why not keep it to yourself? What's the motive there?
So everyone talks about value posting and give it all away, share it all, and then people will pay you for,
Implementation.
sorry,
Implementation.
not implementation, bringing it all together. And I remember at the start, I would try and like keep all of the stuff to myself. And it worked, but it got results that reflected that. Whereas
Mm,
now it's just like, hey, I'm going to share everything. If I
mm,
find something cool, other people might find it cool. And what happens is that when if I share something really good, like even I shared something about coupon codes and ChatGPT maybe 3 or 4 months ago. That post went gangbusters. You copy the
mm.
URL from your cart into ChatGPT and say, give me coupon codes for this.
Okay.
Daniel Mariana shared a post tagging me 2 or 3 days ago about that. So it's little things like that that I find along the way, and then the people that share those interests message me, and then I connect with other really cool people.
Mm,
So it's kind of the AI crowd at the moment. And you
mm,
obviously get those people that want to jump on a call and just try and pull as much information out of
mm,
you.
mm.
I,
But
I don't really do that.
you know how to identify those, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's at the moment.
Who do you know me pretty well? Who do you think I post for? Do you think I post for myself or for others? Primarily,
Yeah, you
because this
post
is always,
yourself.
yeah, I post for myself first. I enjoy the act of documenting my journey and documenting my thoughts, and I enjoy the entering the forum, the feeling and thought of entering the forum of public discord, I guess you could say. And I welcome praise, but also welcome challenging and critique and disagreement if it comes, as long as it's civil and respectful. I welcome that. I don't look for it, but I don't shy away from it either. Um, so I primarily post for myself, but I've come to realize and learn based on feedback and outcomes, people coming to learn, coming to be my students and writing to me and all that, that there's a certain percentage of people out there that enjoy it, find value in it, get inspired by it, change their thinking on the back of it, realize new things are possible, reject status quo. And that's quite satisfying. I don't necessarily expect them to turn into clients. Some will, and that's fine. But I'm fine with those that don't as well. Because, as I said, my primary motivation is to document my journey and enter the conversation, the public conversation. Where that goes and what comes on the back of that, we'll see.
Mm.
I'm a
But
lover
you
of the game.
can't fake that over a long enough period of
No, you
time.
can't. You can't. And you can feel it in people's writing as well. Like I had this conversation in our group the other day on a group coaching call. Like I'm certainly not going to name any names here, but and I don't say this to slight anybody. It's purely observational and neutral. What I'm saying, it's my view. I'm not convinced the majority, or I'm not going to say majority, a significant portion of, I'm just going to say sales trainers, because you and I, to varying degrees, are sales trainers. I'm not convinced the majority, a significant percentage of sales trainers, I'm not convinced they love the game. I think a lot of them love the outcomes that come from the game, the status of recognition, the dollars in the bank, certain other things. Like they definitely love the outcomes, but I'm not convinced they love the game of it. The psychology, the back and forth, the peeling of the onion, the layers, the tangents, the depth, the reimagining of possibilities and all that sort of stuff. I don't think the majority do. There certainly are some that do. There's a couple that come to mind that I'm pretty sure they do. And if we go into the marketing world, like the Alan Sultanics of the world, absolutely do. That's why I'm in his mastermind. So I love the game. No, I don't love the game of sales per se. I love the game of human interactions. We just happen to monetize our skill set and our mindset and our capability in a sales environment because that's a great way to monetize what we're able to do. But it's not the selling aspect that I love. It's the back and forth. It's the putting together of a puzzle. It's the me versus you, but not in a where one has to win and one has to lose sort of game. I love all that sort of stuff. Like I was always drawn to debates as a kid. I loved being a contrarian. I loved it if all in the group said we're going that way. I'd put me and I go, I'm going that way. And like
Mm.
it'd be me versus nine. I always loved that. Not, I just love the game of it. And we're able to apply that in a selling setting and make great money from it and meet great people from it. Have a lot of fun with it. Like that's why I do what I do. What are your thoughts on that?
Mm. Mm. I was having this conversation with someone yesterday afternoon, actually. Uh, I love the game of growing something
Yes.
and uh, expanding something and creating a brand or creating momentum in something where it doesn't exist, and then elevating something to a level where, as long as I genuinely believe in it, on where it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah.
And sales and persuasion is a huge part of that. And I love the game of sales.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, there's so much more that comes into it. Like you can be really good at selling, but if
Mm-hmm.
you have a company where your branding sucks, your content sucks, there's
Mm-hmm.
no trust factor, there's no credibility, there's nothing,
Mm-hmm.
then it doesn't matter how good you are at sales, you will do better than someone that's bad at sales, but you're still, in the Australian saying, pushing shit uphill.
Mm-hmm.
So you're constantly battling against it. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
my logic is like, I love the game of sales, but
Mm-hmm.
then I take from all of that, well, what do I learn here?
Mm-hmm.
What are the limiting beliefs? What can I do over here and up here and
Mm-hmm.
here to make that easier? And I love bringing all of this together. And I think the reason I enjoy it is it's not call to call. It's bringing all of that together over weeks, months, years, oftentimes, and
Mm-hmm.
creating something greater. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the game that I really enjoy. And it has to be an application that I'm interested in
Yep.
and have belief and see room to grow in. But
Yep.
that's the game that I really enjoy. And content is just one small piece of that.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. I mean, content when done right, anyone in the group who the group that I train, who I encourage all of them to do content, no matter what stage of the journey they're at, even if they're brand new. We've got a guy in the program who 2 months ago was brand new to sales, Dominic. He posts because even if you're early in your journey and you don't yet think you've earned the right to publicly, educate or inspire or critique others or the market or certain things, which is fair, and I would probably agree with that very often. You can still document your journey. What you've had happen to you, what you've observed, what you've learned, how you've grown, how you're feeling, what you're seeing out there, where you see things going. And that can be healthy from your point of view because it can enable you to develop and articulate your thoughts. That's one of the benefits of writing. It takes that internal narrative in here that only you're having a conversation with yourself and it's all in your head. You're forced to extract it and then obviously put it down in paper or in a verbal form like we're doing right now, which means you've got to think about it differently. And as it comes out of your mouth or as it goes on a paper, you look at it and go, oh, I need to develop that a bit better. Or I need to rework that. So then you actually do some repair work. And often that repair work then goes, well, not often, that repair work then goes into your mind. So the narrative internally changes as well. And you often get to a better place. So it's
It's like
very,
journaling in the morning. You can have
yeah,
something that you're really worried about on that day. You write it out and you're like, why
exactly.
was I worried about that?
You take the internal, make it external,
Yeah.
and then you're forced to process it, and then it goes internal again. But it's different to how it was before it did that little journey. So it's very healthy. Helps you
But
become
also,
way
you
more.
have to be
Way more.
educational. You don't. You can post
No.
about your journey. You can be funny.
Yes.
You can share relevant information. You can piggyback off other people, share a different person's post every week that you found really valuable, and then engage with other people's stuff. So
That's right.
there's a lot of different ways to build a brand, especially at the
Well,
start.
yeah. That example you just gave, then I touched on a lot because it's almost like a cheat code when you do that because you might not yet have the confidence to do your own post if you're really early in your journey. You haven't got there yet. That's fine. We've all been there. But you might see a post by, I'm a brand new guy. I see your post. I really like it. It really resonates. I can share it. I can put some commentary around it, why I'm sharing it, why I liked it, how it's applicable to me, why I want to share it with you. So it becomes my post in a way, but I get some association with you. You see that. I come on your radar. If I'm doing that semi-regularly and there's pretty decent words attached to it, I become valuable to you, and you might be way more high status and connected than I am in this game. I now become someone that A is on your radar, and there's no transactional vibes here. I'm just a cheerleader who's supporting and sharing your message, amplifying your message. So I'm valuable to you. Do that for a period of time. And when I DM you one day to go, James, don't know if you've been seeing, I've been sharing your post, but I just want to say I love your content. Thanks so much. You're really inspiring. I just want to say thank you. And if you haven't met me yet, my name's Michael. You'll write back, I guarantee. And then on the back of that, I might say, listen, James, thanks for writing back. Since we're talking, can I ask you one question only? Because it's something I wanted to ask since the first day I saw it. You're going to say yes.
Mm.
I asked you that question. Who knows? You may say, listen, Michael, I love your energy. Let me do a solid. I'm going to give you 30 minutes of my time because, hey, people ahead of me in the game when I was young helped me out. Here's my turn. I had that with a guy. I won't say his name, but he ended up becoming a long-term student with me. He got me on a good day like 2 years ago. He was young and early in the game, brand new to sales. he he had I'd noticed him liking my post and commenting on my post. I'd noticed it, so I knew who he was. He ended up in my DMs one day. He didn't ask for anything for free from me, but he got me on a good day. It was right at the end of, it was literally 2 years ago. It was right at the end of my selling cycle. And I'd had a good 3 or 4 months. And he got me on like a Friday afternoon. I was in a good mood, sold a truckload the last 4 months. And he wrote to me and asked me a question. And I said, name, I'll do better than a question. Here's a link to my calendar. I'm going to give you an hour free call, zero obligation here. I was like, I'm just going to do this guy a solid. Like, I feel like I need to give back to the industry and this guy, his lucky day.
Mm.
He ended up becoming a client, and I absolutely didn't pitch him, and that wasn't my intent. It genuinely wasn't my intent. If he was like a nobody or he asked for something that I didn't want to give, and we had no rapport or no goodwill, I would have ignored him or just politely said no. So you never know where that can take you as well. So that's a great strategy to share posts that you enjoy, find interesting, relevant, put some commentary around it, why you're sharing it, what you like about it, how that's been applicable to you and how it could maybe be applicable to others. As I said, it becomes yours, but it's still the author's post. That's a great way to get into the game of posting content.
Mm. So for a good period of time, so Sundays for me, so Australian Sundays are Saturday evenings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would get very, very little engagement. And
Mm-hmm.
I deliberately wouldn't post any good stuff on Sundays. And then I realized that, well, why don't I just make Sundays where I share someone else's content?
Mm-hmm.
And I trialed a heap of different people. But what I found I enjoyed the most is this is when I was following Justin Welsh. And this is a few years ago when he was really trying on his content, as in the visuals and that sort of stuff. And there were some Dan Co ones that were amazing, a few other people as well. And I would just take a screenshot.
I really into Justin Welsh about 3 years ago, but we don't really talk about him anymore, do we?
I mean, I think it was important for Justin Welsh just at the end of COVID, because
Yeah,
he was the become an influencer,
yeah.
grow your following, and he was relatable. I've just left. I had a mental breakdown when I left corporate.
Mm,
His posts were unbelievably good, and it was
mm,
kind of early on in the high ticket uh,
mm,
space. Become your own boss.
mm.
He was great at writing, and there
Yeah,
wasn't really anyone else doing it. Now that market is flooding,
yeah.
and you can tell he's handed off, or it seems, I should say, he's handed off a lot of his creativeness to very poorly trained AI. And you can see
Mm,
it in his posts. There's no, like, you can tell when someone stopped trying with their
mm.
content. And a lot of his
Yeah,
posts, I
that's
see
kind of
that.
like
Whereas at the
you
start,
and I.
his were
You
just,
and I were really into him like 3 years ago. We used to talk
yeah,
about him all the time. I can't remember the last time you and I mentioned him. No, no disrespect to the guy. I think he's great, and I
he
look
was
at
a
a lot.
massive influence on me. Massive.
Yeah, yeah. Do you like Tim Denning? Are you familiar with Tim Denning? He's Australian.
Mm-mm.
You should check out Tim Denning. I'll send you a link. Similar sort of thing, but his stuff is definitely not AI. His stuff is from the heart. His stuff is good.
Oh,
Uh,
you wouldn't know now.
well, okay, that's fair. Maybe it's AI enhanced, but it
Yeah.
feels real. It feels human. It feels detailed. It feels like he cares. It feels like he's still passionate and committed. It feels like
Mm.
maybe he's pulling one over my eyes. I don't know. You can run it through your AI filter and go, is this AI written? But to my eyes, it feels real.
Mm.
Yeah, he's decent. Why should people post in a nutshell? For those that aren't posting yet and they're like, Michael and James keep talking about posting. Why should I consider posting? What's the sort of 30, 60
Uh,
seconds as to why you should consider posting?
30-second. I'll challenge you to keep it to 30 seconds as well.
Okay, I won't. Yeah,
Uh, so
yeah,
30 seconds, growth in yourself and immediate feedback loops.
yep,
So you will post your journey as you go along. And sometimes
yep,
we get caught on a path of like, this is the way we're going. Then all
yep,
of a sudden you have thousands of eyes on it.
yep,
Best idea wins. And you might have 10 people be like, oh, actually, like I see why you came to that conclusion, but here's my perspective on it. So
yep,
you just crowdsource growth
yep,
immediately.
yep, yep. I agree with all that. So I won't give the same answer, so I'll give a different answer. Look, there's a lot of competition out there. The majority of it's mediocre. This is when done well, and give yourself permission for it not to be done well on day one. Give yourself permission to grow into doing it well, and it may even take months. But it's actually quite nice when you look at the story years later and you're like, look, they're my first post, whoever, look how good they are now. But it's a great mechanism to separate yourself from the mediocre competition, who are often nameless and faceless. And it's a way for you to no longer be nameless and faceless.
Mm.
And, once you're no longer nameless and faceless, so many things become possible that are not possible when you are.
I'll add one more thing. One more thing. Doesn't matter where you go or what you do in life. If you start your own company, if you start your own business, content is not an option anymore. It is absolutely mandatory. And that's how you build a relationship with people that you've never met in your life. It's how you build credibility and you build trust in a market. And that's how you build a brand. So,
Yep.
I mean, yes, learn about yourself, but then on top of that, the skills that you learn are directly transferable to
Yep.
anything that you do in the future. And it's such a massive asset.
Yep. Yep. I'll add a final one then as well. For me, arguably the most interesting thing about any person I ever meet is how they think and what's important to them. And then on the back of that, how they articulate and demonstrate that. Your content gives you an opportunity to do all those things.
I think that's a good place to leave it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Good.
fun one.
Yeah, it was a good one. Unscripted, as always. We didn't know what we were going to talk about a minute or so before this call, as always. So we got there in the end.
Perfect. All right. I'll see you next week.